What's up, guys? This is Zach with Top Deck Nation, and today we're going to be kicking off our official Guardians Rising coverage since it is out and officially on PTCGO, so you can buy your booster packs, your theme decks, etc. And today we're going to be kicking it off by looking at one of the theme decks. Now, if you've been in our channel before, you know we try to cover the theme decks because they're often, kind of neglected in the community, but they've gotten better recently. They're a decent way for new players to kind of jump into the game, get some trainer cards, some energy, things like that. And today we're going to be looking at the Still Sun theme deck. Now, this is really going to feature things like Solgaleo. I think it's like a metal and psychic based deck. And tomorrow we'll be looking at the other one, which I believe is called, let's see what it's called here, Hidden Moon, and that's going to feature Lunala. So be on the lookout for that, but we are going to check this out today. Now, I don't actually have the theme deck code for them yet. I haven't actually purchased them yet, and that's mainly because I'm trying to save my coins and stuff to buy packs. If you haven't noticed, I think a lot of the cards in the set are kind of expensive on PTCGO, like Tapu Lele, which is arguably the best card in the set. It's so good. It's going for like 30 or 35 packs. So, I mean, you have to either have a lot of packs or buy a booster box or something in real life. So I'm really trying to save my coins and stuff for that. But, thankfully on the preview here, it looks like you can actually preview the theme decks now, which is pretty cool. Just kind of gives you a description, bright light of victory. But if you scroll down here, you can actually view the deck, which is pretty cool. Now, they are going to be kind of grayed out, and I do apologize about that, but at least for some of the more notable cards, you can zoom in. So, for example, if I wanted to look at, Solgaleo, I can just kind of right-click it, and we can kind of get a bigger, better description. So, I'm just going to kind of go through here and give you my thoughts about them and whether or not it's a decent theme deck to pick up. So, kicking it off, it looks like we have a 2-1 Slowbro line. Slowbro, it looks like, has this attack called Amnesia. Choose one of your opponent's attacks. It can't use it during the next turn. So, not bad for a single energy. I think the second attack is actually better, though. For a Psychic and DCE, it does 50, but if it's burned or poison, it does 80 more. So, that's 130 damage already. And then if you can combine it with something like Professor Kukui and Choice Band, you're pretty much in the range of one-shotting anything on the board, except for like a Mega Pokemon. So depending on the deck, I don't know if there's a card that really makes you burned or poisoned. I think there's an Ariados from Ancient Origins that makes you poisoned. So, I mean, that could be a nice little cheap rogue deck. It's hard to say for sure, maybe with Max Elixir or something. We see Talo and Swellow. Swallow doesn't look very great. Swallow Dive, it is 40, and if the Pokemon use Agility in the last turn, it is 80 more. So not too bad, but the the fact that it has 90 HP just isn't that great. It's going to be knocked out pretty quickly. I know a lot of people are excited about Metagross EX, or GX, I should say. Now, unfortunately, it's not in the theme deck because it's a GX, it's an ultra rare, but you do see Beldum and Metang, so it's kind of cool just to kind of give yourself a foundation. And, the reason it's paired up with Solgaleo is because I think there's a lot of synergy here, whether it be the GX or the regular one here. So you do have a Cosmog, Cosmoem, and a Solgaleo line. And Solgaleo, it looks like it does 50 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then 170 for 3 energy, and it can't use the attack next turn. So really, you're going to be focusing on using the second attack here. Now, you can definitely pair it up with the GX or even Lunala GX. I think Solgaleo's GX attack lets you attach 5 energy, which is pretty crazy, and Solgaleo just makes for a good 7th prize attacker. It's a non-GX, but it has 160 HP, which is pretty good, and 170 damage is more than enough to knock out a lot of your big hitters in the format, like Yveltal EX, etc. Assuming you have, assuming your opponent doesn't have like a Fighting Fury Belt or something on it. So it's pretty cool. You get 2 of those in the deck. Beware, it has this ability called Rake It In. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve something, you can draw 3 cards. So, I mean, that's, not the worst. Its attack is pretty good. It's 120 damage if it's against the basics. So maybe you could tech this in with something, maybe something that plays Max Elixir since it's a colorless attacker. Hard to say, but the ability is pretty good. I think there are a few cards that can actually take advantage of having more cards in your hand. I think there's a Metagross from, I want to say Ancient Origins, that has like a trait or something like that. There's Simipour, Simisage, and Simisear, I think. They all have this attack called like Hand Fling. And I think if you have more cards in your hand, it does more damage. So it could be an option. They attack for DCE, so it's definitely splashable there. We see Oricorio. Now, Oricorio does have this cool ability. This ability basically lets you play it down and search your deck for 2 basic energy cards. Now, if this was any kind of energy card, including like special energy, I think this would be a one of in a lot of decks, because you could search your deck for 2 DCE, 2 Rainbow, whatever you need, and just attach them. That'd be really good, especially in something like a Primal Kyogre deck. I mean, it has some potential. I think it's interesting, but you know, Professor's Letter, as long as that's in the format, I think that'll be a go-to card, just because you don't have to waste the bench space. You can use something like Skyla to get it out. So in the future, this could be a way out. It's also good against Decidueye, just because it is not an item. So you're not going to be locked against like Vileplume. You can just put it down, search for your Pokemon, and there you go, or your energy, I should say. We have Delmise, and it's pretty cool that they included this card in here as well, I guess because it's a psychic type. It has this ability called Steelworker, and it says metal Pokemon attacks do 10 more damage, so that's pretty good. Genesect is legal right now, Genesect EX, and it has an attack that does 130 for 3 energy, and I'm pretty sure for each metal energy you discard, it does like 20 more. So Delmise, you know, can put it into that one-hit KO range if you play enough of them. You could play something like Skyfield, and that way you can have 3 or 4 Delmise out. And, you know, it's never a bad thing to be doing like plus 30, plus 40 damage. You could definitely pair it up with something like Genesect, Max Elixir, and, you know, by the second turn, you got a couple of Genesect powered up ready to go. And then finally, we have Castform as far as our Pokemon go, and it's kind of underrated. You know, the first attack, Weather Teller, search your deck for 2 stadiums and put them in your hand. Pretty good, but we have a format that is, you know, dominated by cards like N. Field Blower is a thing now, so basically when they put down the stadium, you can just knock it off. And the fact is that, you know, a lot of people play like 2, 3, even upwards of 4 stadiums in their deck. Even in Expanded, if you think about it, I think Primal Groudon decks can play upwards of like 6 stadiums just because they depend on them so much. So I don't think Castform is all that great. I think he's kind of underwhelming, especially in a theme deck. But that pretty much covers the Pokemon, guys. As far as the trainers go, I love that the trainer cards are actually pretty playable. You know, it's great that Pokemon's been doing this for a while. In the last few sets, they actually include some playable stuff. It's nothing like, you know, just a handful of Tierno or just really bad cards. They try to give you a nice mix, so it's good for newer players that they want to recognize some of the characters from the show, sure, but they also want some cards that are pretty good. So we have Nest Ball, which is pretty good. You know, search your deck for any basic Pokemon, so it's definitely good in a lot of decks. It replaces Level Ball in many cases. Switch is always a good utility card. Rescue Stretcher is basically a replacement for Buddy Buddy Rescue and Super Odd. It's almost like this hybrid card, but you choose one effect. There's 2 listed. You can put a Pokemon from your discard into your hand, or you can shuffle 3 Pokemon from the discard into your deck. So decks like Vespiquen, decks like Gyarados, that really take advantage of Buddy Buddy because they already play something like Revitalizer or Buddy Buddy. You know, this is, you know, the card that's going to be in there. I can definitely see 4 Rescue Stretchers in Gyarados. They can afford to take out the Super Odd, maybe free up a couple spots for anything else, but I think Rescue Stretcher will be a great addition to that. We also see Timer Ball, which is good against, we also see Timer Ball, which is pretty good in evolution decks. It is the coin flip, but potentially you can get 2 evolutions out. So in like a budget kind of like Decidueye deck, you know, maybe you can use Timer Ball, flip 2 heads, and go ahead and get the Dartrix and Decidueye out all in one turn. And then as far as some other notable cards here, we've got Energy Retrieval, which is good in things like Volcanion, just get your energy back. Altar of the Sun might actually see some play in like Genesect decks if it happens. Mega Scizor, Volcanion, it says that they have no weakness, fire types and metal Pokemon, and that's a pretty big deal, assuming that your opponent's not playing like Field Blower or doesn't have a counter stadium. It could give you you know, a bit more of strategy when it comes to like mirror matchups like Volcanion. So, you know, water decks are about to be really big because of Aqua Patch, and so I think it's really important that Volcanion decks have a way out. Otherwise, they pretty much get decimated by those water decks because they get one-shotted. They have to power up a couple turns to get ready to go again, and in that span of time, more than likely they get Lysandered up and knocked out again. So it's good to see this card in the format now, but I do think that Volcanion decks are still going to stick with like Scorched Earth or Skyfield because they're just, you know, generally better effects that work in every game versus like a situational effect. And then finally, we have a couple supporters here. We have Howl, which is just a vanilla draw 3 cards. I know I mentioned that It's good that Tierno wasn't in the deck, but this is basically the same thing. But this is just kind of paying tribute to like fan service. A lot of kids that watch the cartoon, for example, I'm sure they're very familiar with Hal and Professor Kukui and such. And speaking of Professor Kukui, there are 2 copies in here, which is pretty cool. It lets you draw 2 cards and your Pokemon do 20 more damage. So pretty good effect. It's a one of in a lot of competitive decks, so it's good to see that. And then finally, as energy goes, we have 20 energy, which again, you know, my biggest complaint about these theme decks is that they play way too much energy. You don't see any competitive decks that play 20 energy. Typically, they're in the range of 10 to 12. But we never see anything that plays 20 unless it's just, you know, something ridiculous. Like, I think there's a Typhlosion deck that does more damage for every fire you flip on top of your deck. And so I've seen that deck play like 24, 25 energy, but you know, it's not exactly a competitive deck. Definitely fun, but not really competitive. But this does kind of give you a nice little collection if you're trying to build energy up, if you're brand new to the game. Psychic and Metal are both decent types to have. So it is good that they're giving you lots of resources here in case you want to start the game, in case you're a new player, something like that. And, you know, you're also getting a few little accessories here. You're getting a really cool orange Solgaleo coin, and you can use this in pretty much any versus battle, any tournament battle, etc. So pretty cool. The deck box, it's just your standard theme deck box. I think it's just because it's a theme deck, you can't really customize that. And then the default sleeves, unfortunately. But yeah, this is going to pretty much wrap up my review, guys. In general, I think it's a pretty interesting deck. I think it's pretty nice. I think they could have put in some better Pokemon, but I do think you are getting a few playable cards. You are getting like the Solgaleo line, the Metang and Beldum, just in case you want to build like a Solgaleo Metagross kind of deck. You're getting Oricorio, just in case you want to play that in the future, and Delmise and like a metal deck. And you do get a few playable trainers. Like I said, Rescue Stretcher is a big one, as is Nest Ball, Alter the Sun, a couple supporters. So overall, I mean, it's a pretty good deck. I mean, I think you can find these in your local Walmarts and Targets and such for like 12 bucks. So if you are brand new to the game, I do encourage you just to kind of pick it up if you haven't already. You know, these are a great way to kind of jump into the game. I think they normally include like damage counters and rule books and stuff like that. So I do recommend it if you're brand new to the game. If you are trying to get more competitive, you might want to stick to like the battle arena decks, or just buying singles online, of course. And be sure to let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are there any changes you would make to the theme deck? Do you think they should add some more competitive cards, or take out some energies or things like that to give you a bit more value for your money? We'll also have some more Guardians Rising coverage up all week, so let me know what kind of content you guys want to see. But in the meantime, this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.